Hey, my name's Andrew Plassman. I'm in sales here at Sweetwater Sound, and I've had the Neural DSP Quad Cortex for about 2 or 3 weeks, and I'd just like to share my experiences with you. Some of you might know me, some of you may not. I have had some videos here on the channel before, and if you've seen those, you'll know that this isn't the typical product that I would be interested in. I'm not a multi-effects processor guy. It's not my thing, but marketing reached out to me and offered me the chance to review this, and I thought, the internet probably doesn't need to know my opinion. But I went for it anyway, and I went in blind, completely blind. I refused to look at a manual. I did not watch any videos on it. I just wanted to see from the standpoint of somebody who typically would not buy this, how easy is it to get up and running and start playing and start enjoying myself with something like this, having had no idea about how it works previously. So the first night that I had this, I brought it home, sat it on the kitchen table, got it powered up, and the first thing I started doing was just poking around on it. Now, what I found is if you can operate an iPhone, or an Android, I don't want to alienate anybody here. If you can operate a smartphone, we'll say, you can operate this, no problem. It totally makes sense from the point of it's all touchscreen, everything's drag and drop on it. When you do the profiling, the capturing, it walks you through how to do it, where to plug it into, all this stuff. So really, without having any experience with it previously, within 10 minutes, I had an entire preset up and running, and I was playing and having fun. So I made a few presets here. I made 4 of them, and they're all inspired by my favorite old country store that makes the best pancakes, and I challenge you to find better pancakes. Let's dive in, take a listen to a couple of the sounds here. So the first patch that I made, Grandma's Sampler, all of these sounds were just presets or just saved sounds that were in it. I didn't make any captures, I didn't do anything like that. They're just sounds that you can get in it right when you open it up. So let's take a listen. I'm more of a vintage amp guy. I'm not real big into high gain, anything like that. And what I found previously with other multi-effects processors is they do great high gain stuff, but the low gain stuff, the clean stuff always left me wanting. So right out of the gate, I was floored by the way that this thing sounded. It's a super reverb amp model with a 412 cabinet with V30s in it. And I just quickly threw on a tremolo, some spring verb. I got a hall verb after it to kind of put the amp in a space. And yeah, to me, it sounds incredibly natural, like way more natural than I actually expected it to be. And I should also say, the situation I'm in currently, real talk, my house about burned down end of August. So I'm living in an apartment, a real tiny apartment right now. And I don't have any of my gear. So I haven't been able to play guitar for months because the walls are paper thin and you can hear everything everybody's doing. So I only used headphones on this, and it was like a breath of fresh air that I could feel like I was sitting in a space with an amplifier being able to play, but it was totally quiet. I'm not ticking off my neighbors. I'm not waking up my daughter who's sleeping in the room next door. It really just felt natural. All right, so moving on. We had Grandma's Sampler. It's just what we listened to. It's a wonderful meal. We got another good meal here. Sawmill gravy. Gotta love that. So good. So what I did in this is I captured some of my own pedals. On previous videos you may have seen, I've got a pretty sweet pedal board, if I do say so myself. And I've got an SP compressor and a Tumnus and an SL drive that I absolutely love. Which the Tumnus, I just gotta say, is it Byron Wampler, is that his name?
Yeah.
Byron?
I think that's
Byron
it.
Wampler?
Yeah, Wampler.
Swampler.
Swampler.
Brian.
Swing.
It's
Dinger.
Brian.
Brian. Brian Swingdinger. That's it. Brian Swing.
Brian Swingdinger. Brian Wampler. Dude.
Yeah, we love Brian.
Yeah, we love you. I love you from the bottom of my heart. And now I have that pedal board with me at my apartment currently, so I was able to capture those sounds and put it in here. So I've got the 3 first blocks here. Those are my drive pedals from my actual pedal board that I captured. And then I've got a built-in amp and cab and reverb and all that stuff was built into the Quad Cortex. Take a listen to that. That's just the SL drive. We can turn on the tumness as well. Get a little bit more sauce, a little bit thicker gravy. Sounds like a tumness and an SL drive into a Fender, because that's what it is. Moving on, our next meal is Uncle Herschel's Fave. Uncle Herschel's favorite. It's a huge meal. It's a stereo rig. I was able to capture one of my favorite Rivera amps. So when my house burned, thankfully, none of my gear was damaged, thankfully, but I don't really have access to any of it at all. I've got a couple Riveras and a pedal board and just been living in the trunk of my car for the last 4 or 5 months. So I had that with me, so I brought that in and I plugged it in. Now remember, I don't have the ability to plug in a cabinet where I'm at. There's no way I could do that. So I have the mini Rock Rex from Rivera as well that I used as my cabinet simulator. So I plugged my Rivera Venus Do in, ran it into the mini Rock Rec, and then out of that, the XLR cable balanced out into the input here, and then I was able to capture that. And I got a few different varieties of the amp. And then I also, on this patch, have my tumness there as well. And then you got delay and reverb and all that stuff, and that was all built in. So let's take a listen, or what do you say we take a bite out of Uncle Herschel's Fave? Delicioso. I've got a little univibe on there, got some delay. I mean, it does it for me, you know? I was able to put my amp in a space, in this case in headphones, but it felt so natural and so relieving to be able to do that. Moving forward to my last preset and arguably one of my favorites, Buttery Biscuits. Buttery Biscuits is a combination as well of a different capture of my Venus Do. And then I've got the tumness on there as well, some delay, you know, stuff like that. But it's a stereo image. This one is just a little bit more buttery. It's got a little bit more butter on it. Going on and on. All right, Buttery Biscuits. I tell you what, the Quad Cortex, this thing's super decent. I love it. I didn't think that I would love it, but as it turns out, I'm a believer. You know, I'm an analog pedal guy and a tube amp guy, but this honestly, from my perspective, being somebody who not into this thing, from my perspective, it was able to capture my pedals, my amps, all that stuff, and it was like almost perfect. Like literally, it was so close I couldn't tell. I went into this thinking this thing's gonna be meh, but I was happily mistaken when I found out. I'm able to take my whole guitar rig and put it into this little tiny thing and take it with me on the go. So all in all, 2 thumbs up for the Quad Cortex. If you have any other questions on the Quad Cortex, call your Sweetwater sales engineer. We're happy to help. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and click here if you like this video and you want to see more like it, and start at sweetwater.com for all your music, instrument, and pro audio needs. Oh, and hit me in the comments with your favorite menu item.